Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you, coming at you with Zoodiac Radiant Typhoon. I really like playing Radiant Typhoon, and of course I'm very interested to see what all decks Broad Bowl is going to be good in, so I figured that we could start with this one here. Alright, we're going to begin with Radiant Typhoon Vision finds a couple of copies of Chant, actually. We're going to use one of those copies of Chant in order to add Eldom from deck to hand, sending the other for the Vision. Now I'm going to begin my line by special summoning Eldom and then adding the Swen. We're then going to special summon Swen and activate in order to add another copy of Vision, because I don't really have much else with Ascendance already in hand. Alright, now here's how to pivot from the Radiant Typhoon starters into some Zoodiac plays. We're going to go for MX Saber Invoker. Let's go summon out a Rapier from our deck. Now we're going to overlay Zoodiac Chakanine on top of the Rapier. We can use Rapier's effect through Chakanine, detaching to summon another Rapier. Now, of course, we can turn that Rapier into another Zoodiac Xyz, this time Tiger Mortar. From here, Tiger Mortar also gets to use Rapier's effect, summoning the third copy from deck. Now I'm going to overlay my Tiger Mortar and Chakanine and summon out the Utopic Future, number F0. And of course we're going to stack the UDF, the Utopic Draco Future, on top of that, giving us a monster negate plus steal. Now on top of the Rapier, we're going to put Broad Bowl. And I could have used Broad Bowl in order to search here, but I decided I want my Trident to have an extra material. I don't really need the search anyway, so we're just going to summon out the Trident here. Now I'm going to summon out the Meghala. Here I did make a misplay, a very minor misplay. I used Trident to pop my own MX Saber Invoker, because I thought I was going to have to go Ascendance in order to trigger the Meghala, and I thought I was not going to have enough room unless I popped the monster here. Of course, I realized after popping my own Invoker that, oh, I haven't used the other effect of Vision yet, so I could just use that in order to trigger the Meghala. So we could have kept Invoker on the field, but it wouldn't have made a difference in this hand anyway, so it's not really a big deal. I'm really more bummed about losing the extra material on Trident, which also, in the grand scheme of things, probably is not going to end up mattering. Alright, so we can summon out the Crocea there, and then go for the Varun. Now we're going to activate Varun, adding our third MST from deck to hand. We're going to activate Radiant Typhoon Ascendance and chain Mystical Space Typhoon on our own card. Looks really weird, but of course it's very good to do that, because we can then reset the Ascendance, and naturally we're doing all this to trigger the effect of Varun, placing the Mandate face up on our field. As you can see, we're also on Fallen and the Virtuous. Even if I wasn't on Zoodiac, of course, I would still be playing this card, because not only is it a quick play spell for the archetype, which cares about quick play spells, but it's a very, very powerful card in general. And finally, I'm going to link off Swen and Varun into the Racefulgur, the Desperate Doom Eagle. I could have also, you could make the link for Ritual Beast if you want to as well, if you have an extra body, but that's a UR I didn't want to craft just for this deck, so Racefulgur for the Graveyard Disruption is also good enough. Alright, looks like they're also on Radiant Typhoon. They're going to use the Ascendance in order to add their MST. They're going to special summon Crocea, then activate Mystical Space Typhoon. But here's the funny thing about Radiant Typhoon mirror matches, right? Whoever goes first, if they set up Mandate, is at a huge advantage, because Mandate does not just trigger off of your own Mystical Space Typhoon. It's off of any Mystical Space Typhoon. All the Radiant Typhoon cards are like this. They don't say if you activate a quick play spell, they say if a quick play spell card is activated. So, if possible, I want to keep my activations of my quick play spell cards limited, and definitely want to negate their own MST with my Mandate. So that way, of course, I don't lose my cards. Alright, there goes their MST. They're special summoning their Crocea. Crocea is going to activate, and I'm just going to use Utopic Draco Future to not only negate, but also steal. And looks like my opponent doesn't really have any follow-up after that, because they simply decide to concede. Of course, if my opponent had more plays, we have the Varun Monster Negate is live. Not the Negate plus Destroy, I only have one MSC in my graveyard, but still the Monster Negate is live, and Trident can still pop a face-up card as well. That's just my non-quick play spell interactions, because again, in the mirror match, I want to keep my activation of quick play spell cards ideally at a limit, but yeah, no, that was a pretty good example of us totally shutting out our opponent with very few of our interactions, of which we had very, very many on a board like this. Let's take a look at our next replay. Alright, let's do a going second game this time. This one's 4 turns, so I think it's at least a decent bit of a back and forth. These WCQ games, it's always so hard to remember off the top of your head without being able to look at the opponent's deck, how the game played out. Alright, so we got Rapier and Crocea. One thing you do have to watch for when you're playing this deck is wind locks, right? Because obviously if you're locked into wind monsters, then you can't do your Zoodiac stuff. I believe Crocea's effect to special summon herself locks you into winds. Meghala's effect... Oh, it's the search effect that locks you into winds. And then Meghala's summon from deck effect I know also locks you into winds. But anyway, here they are on both Cool Tune and Elfnote. Thankfully, we've got the Maxi, so they can't do anything too crazy here. I thought they were going to go for the Barone off the Fortuna, but they make Cool Tune Synchro, or sorry, Trackmaker here instead. They're going to add Cool Tune Synchro off the Trackmaker, and then Elfnote Power Patron is going to add the Elfnote Lucina. They're going to set 2 and then pass. One of those is pretty obviously going to be a Cool Tune Synchro. Definitely want to Fuelos on my own draw phase because I know they're going to summon here. I don't typically do that on turn 1, but in this scenario, I'm absolutely going to do that here. I'm going to use Fallen the Virtuous to force their Cool Tune Synchro. That way their Trackmaker doesn't get any opportunities to like bounce a card here. It looks like they're going to add Recco and then tune with it to make Zaylan. So you do have to kind of think about Zaylan here. But we do get a draw off the Fuelos as well. Now here I am going to activate Crocea, even though it does lock me out of being able to summon the Zoodiac stuff. Because I really wanted to bait some more of my opponent's interaction. Here they are going to end up using the Rhapsidia. I'm going to chain Vision, and they actually chained Zaylan, which I was really surprised by. Oh, no, that's right, because... Wait, no, Zaylan was chain link 4, right? Was it the last thing in the chain link? It was. For some reason, I thought it was higher up. Because I went chain link 1 Crocea, chain link 2 Rhapsody. I thought they chained Zaylan to their own... Oh, no, that's why I played the Vision there. I knew there was something more to this play. Right, so I went chain link 1 Crocea, they chained Rhapsidia. Now I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I pass priority to my opponent here, they're going to go chain link 3 Zaylan to negate and destroy my Crocea potentially. So by going Vision here, I force them to negate that and destroy that. That way I get to keep my Crocea body on the board. I think was my mentality here. I would assume that's why I chained there. Anyway. Still in draw phase, we're going to chant for MST. I'm going to activate the Mystical Space Typhoon on their face down card, which does end up being a second Cool Tune Synchro. Really glad to force them to use it and not have to deal with it during, you know, me making plays. Which, I mean, I guess we're already doing plenty of that. Keep in mind, it's still my draw phase, by the way. Alright, now it's main phase 1. We're going to summon out the Swen. They're going to use Cool Tune Clip in response. Alright, Clip F going to activate. They get to synchro with the Q as well as the Elfnote Power Patron on board in order to make the Loudness War. Gets me into their draw here as well, finding Crocea, and then I get to find Chant off of Swen. Looks like they're going to go Chain Link 1 Elfnote Power Patron, Chain Link 2 Clip, Chain Link 3 Cool Tune Q. Alright, Q is going to activate, finding Swen and main deck Varun off the top of my deck. They're going to banish the Varun. Clip rips Racefulger, don't really care about that, and they're going to find Regina off the Elfnote Power Patron. Alright, now I'm going to go chant for Eldum, summon out Eldum. Eldum F gets to activate here, then we're going to add Meghala. Summoning out Meghala, I'm then going to link Swen and Eldum. Oh, right, this is how I got locked out of... Because I was thinking to myself, Crocea got negated, how did I get locked? But it's because I went for Meghala here. I still have my normal summon at this point. I really should have just normal summoned Rapier first and done all that. But whenever I play multi-engine decks, I get this like idea in my head that I should play out, you know, all of one engine before showing my opponent another to bait out disruptions. But of course here, that involved me getting locked into wind and me not even realizing it normal summoned the Rapier here. So... Rapier is just going to kind of hang out, more just moral support than anything else. We're going to make another Radiant Typhoon Varun, activate, placing herself and then the Loudness War into the back rows. End phase, I can use Albion to set Fallen of the Virtuous, and we'll pass over to our opponent. So, ideally we'd have more interactions here. We do have Fallen of the Virtuous, and then the Phonics effect also gets to activate whenever we use Fallen of the Virtuous. So, I want to use it at a point in time when they have like multiple cards I want to both destroy and to put back. Which is going to be the case here. I'm actually going to wait for them to activate the Elfnote's Welcome Home, then I'm going to chain Fallen and the Virtuous. Alright, so that's going to get destroyed, therefore it won't resolve. And then now I'm going to use the Phonics effect. I'm actually going to take out the JJ Cool Tune as well as the Tinia. By leaving Regina in the center main monster zone, if their last card... Actually, we know their last card is Lucina, so now they can't special summon her. And then JJ Cool Tune cuts off any potential avenues they might have for follow-up plays. Although, if we know this is Lucina, then we know they don't have access to a tuner. But yeah, we definitely want to leave the Regina here for sure. Alright, now we've got the Corsair reviving, we got Phonics putting back their last couple of cards. Should have left Loudness War in the spell trap, but it's not that big of a deal. Again, we know their last card's Lucina, so all we need to do is summon this Swen and then we should be good. But I'm just being extra here, I guess. There we go. Alright, battle phase and then swinging in for lethal as mentioned. And again, Rapier is just here for moral support. Just hanging out. Alright. There's that game. Yeah, it ended up being a pretty back and forth going second duel. Always love those. Let's take a look at our next replay. Alright, this is going to be another going first game. That's going to be another good example of setting up that turn one end board, right? Where you're... Well, you'll see here in a moment. We're going to begin with Radiant Typhoon plays, then add on the Zoodiac stuff. Here we do have access to Barrage as well. I'm only on a single copy of it, but I own 3. It's mostly for deck space that I'm only playing 1 Barrage. We'll get into that as we go into the deck building portion, but the Barrage is going to bait out the Foolos, which I will chain Ash Blossom, making sure that they are not able to get those draws in there. And now we're going to activate Barrage effect, and then they're going to use their own Ash Blossom. Yeah, Barrage is an activated effect. It's not like, you know, when you activate this card, do it. But we've already got Swen, so I'm just going to begin with that. Swen F is going to add Chant, and now we're going to activate Chant for Eldum. And then, of course, we're going to special summon the Eldum. Eldum's going to grab Crocea. And then we're going to overlay into the MX Saber Invoker. This is actually going to be more of a standard, like, turn one line in a lot of ways, because I don't have access to the extra body here, or the extra quick play spell. I mean, I do have an extra quick play spell, the Fallen the Virtuous. I could use that to special summon the Crocea, but what I think I'm going to end up doing here is just tributing the MX Saber Invoker to normal summon the Crocea. Alright, we're doing our Zoodiac Rapier things, making our Chakanine and Tiger Mortar, summoning out our third body, and then going into the UDF. Definitely like making the UDF as soon as possible, just giving us that protection from hand traps. And of course, obviously, having the monster negate plus steal going into the opponent's turn is really good. Alright, last Rapier is going to become Broad Bowl. And again, I could use Broad Bowl to search here, but I don't really need the extra body. Plus, actually, I do need my normal summon for Crocea, so I definitely can't afford to add an extra Swen and then just normal summon it. Alright, yep, we're going to tribute summon Crocea by sending away the Invoker. It's going to add Ascendance plus Mystical Space Typhoon. Now, Ascendance gets to activate, and I'm going to Mystical Space Typhoon at my own Ascendance here. That way we can reset it, and then have access to it on our opponent's turn. Also get to revive the Varun that we sent earlier. Off the Vision, I believe it was, during the draw phase. That's why I discarded it, because I knew I could revive it later. Alright, we're going to link Crocea plus Swen into the Radiant Typhoon Varun, the Link 2 one. Link 2 Varun activates, we're going to add an MST. And here, I'm going to use my Fallen of the Virtuous to pop my own Zoodiac Barrage, because that'll trigger my Varun to place the Mandate face up, without having to use this Mystical Space Typhoon in my hand. We can get an extra draw, and then it doesn't matter that I use the Fallen of the Virtuous to do that, because I can just use Albion to set another one anyway. So, yeah, got another pretty standard turn one end board here, with the Zoodiac engine setup. Alright, they're going to end up going for Branded High Spirits during the draw phase, revealing Cartesia sending Granganol for Fallen of the White Dragon. Alright, now they're going to go Fallen of the White Dragon. We're going to fire off the Max C in response. And they're actually going to chain Super Poly, which was pretty brutal here, because now what they're able to do is they can fuse with my 2 Xyz monsters and make the dragon that summons the Dogmatic, or devours the dogma. Jeez. Butchered that name. And of course they have the Ecclesia in the graveyard from earlier, so their Tower's effect is live. This Dogmatica Ecclesia is also ensuring that. So I'm in a really rough spot now because this Dragon that Devours the Dogma is too strong for me to be able to battle over with pretty much anything in my deck, and is also unaffected by any cards, period. So, like I said, not an ideal position to be in. Alright, they're going to use Fallen and the Virtuous to summon out my Utopia Draco Future. Thankfully, it doesn't have any materials, but it does still have the protection. Now, oh my god, okay. I have to talk about that for a second. So, that was not me surrendering, that was my connection failing, which was very, very frustrating. One, because that was absolutely a Konami server issue. Not only did I have, you know, a YouTube video open while I was playing that didn't get interrupted, but I'm on an Ethernet cable connection, so that was not my internet crashing out there. But why that was extra frustrating is that this Maxi drawing call by actually gave me an out to this Dragon that Devours the Dogma. I could have used my set Fallen the Virtuous, popped it, then on my next turn, I could have call-byed, banished this Ecclesia out of their graveyard, because I believe, yeah, they returned their own incredible Ecclesia. So if I had been able to do that, their Dragon that Devours the Dogma wouldn't have had its protection anymore, and then I could have gotten over their board. Yeah, that was really, really frustrating. The disconnects always are. One, when they're not your fault. Two, when you had the victory anyway. Oh, that was so frustrating. But anyway, still, I think a decent game that I wanted to showcase here. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for the gameplay. Let me show you the deck list, and then we will wrap this one up. Alright, here is Zoodiac Radiant Typhoon. So, things about this deck in particular. As mentioned, we are on the Fallen and the Virtuous as well. I think I would just play this in any Radiant Typhoon deck moving forward, especially because you have more than enough room in the extra deck. That's also why we can afford to play all of our Zoodiac Xyz. One thing I will say, the Zoodiac Xyz monsters, the Zoodiac engine in general does push out, is actually one of your better board-breaking tools, and that's Super Poly. Unfortunately, we really just do not have room for Super Poly and its targets if we're also playing Zoodiac here. I mean, literally just look at the main deck. Like, what 3 cards would you possibly cut from this to play the Super Polys? You'd have to cut Fallen and the Virtuous. And as far as, you know, going second or, you know, just in general quick play spell board breakers go, I'm more of a fan of the Fallen and the Virtuous than Super Poly. Fallen and the Virtuous can always just pop a face-up card, whereas Super Poly kind of needs your opponent to have the exact right conditions for you to be able to activate. Granted, it's not that difficult to achieve those conditions, but this is just a lot more flexible, sets up use cases over multiple turns, slightly less extra deck restriction, or requirement rather. So yeah, I think between the two, I would definitely rather have Fallen and the Virtuous, but as far as whether I would have the Super Poly or Zoodiac engine, that's a little bit more debatable, because the Zoodiac plays are really good, and they definitely do give you more options for setting up on turn 1. But I think Radiant Typhoon was definitely already good enough, right, at doing that. So again, by playing the Zoodiac cards, we are sacrificing the space we would normally use for off-engine. Not just stuff like Super Poly, but also hand traps, triple tactics talent, that kind of thing as well. For the Zoodiac stuff in the main deck, it's 3 Rapier, and I do have 1 Barrage as well. I mean, I could cut this for something like Triple Tack if I really wanted to play it, but oh, Forbidden Droplet. I knew there was another like quick play board breaker spell that I was forgetting. Yeah, Forbidden Droplet is a card that in the past I've really enjoyed playing in Radiant Typhoon, but again, with both the Zoodiac package and Fallen the Virtuous, don't have a lot of room for both, or even all 3, Fallen the Virtuous, Droplet, and Super Poly. I think that might be a bit much. I don't think you need 3 of each of those cards, but still nice to be able to have options. What else? Oh yeah, like I mentioned before, the Ritual Beast Link 4 is not a bad option for the extra deck, because it's Wind, so even if you're locked into Wind by your Radiant Typhoon stuff, you can still make this. The Neither Player Contribute cards is actually a pretty decent floodgate effect. There are certain matchups like Mitsurugi where it just absolutely wrecks them, but there are a bunch of smaller interactions across other decks that can stop as well. And you do also get this quick effect here too. I was doing some research though, watching like videos of other people playing this deck, and one person in particular said this card just never really came up for them, so that's why I didn't really feel the need to spend UR points to craft it. Like I said, we're just playing Race Fulgur, which gives you a little bit of Graveyard Disruption instead, which, to be fair, this effect also did not really ever come up for me. It has in the past, just not in this particular play session. Oh, and then the other thing we're not playing that actually I really should be making room for is Sheena. I think moving forward, I would definitely cut this Barrage and, like, maybe one other card? I don't know. Like, what other card would you even cut here? Maybe just play the second Sheena as a 41st card, but yeah, in the Zoodiac build, this card becomes more cuttable, just because you might end up with boards where it's only Zoodiac stuff, and then obviously the Sheena won't be nearly as useful, but Sheena is such a powerful effect that I think that even if you are playing the Zoodiac stuff, it's very much worth considering. And moving forward, I would definitely want to put it, you know, back into the deck and keep trying it moving forward. But again, the space issue. This is kind of one of those cards that ends up getting cut to make room for other things. I really do think that's Radiant Typhoon's biggest like issue, I guess, right now when it comes to deck building is just not having the room to do everything that you want to. Or maybe just me being greedy, who knows? But in any case, that's going to go ahead and do it. Thank you so very much for watching, especially all the way to the end. I really appreciate that support. Let's go ahead and move on to our outro now, so that way we can thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.